I'm not doing so good today. I know usually these videos are me sharing life lessons and things that I'm working through from a perspective of being over the hill, being over the hump, having a beautiful silver lining to something that I'm struggling with. But today is a confession. It's a confession about something that I've struggled with probably my whole life to varying degrees and am wrestling with the consequences of right now. And as badly as I do not want to start this video by saying it out in the open, I don't think there's a better way to do that, which is to just go for it. I think I have food addictions. I don't have a binge eating disorder. I have disordered eating habits. I think I have a compulsive overconsumption issue when it comes to food, and I use food as an emotional regulator for me when my mind is not doing great, when I'm overstimulated, when I'm upregulated, when I'm out of control. And I'm filming this the day after Thanksgiving, so you could probably figure out where this is going. But this video is not about food. As I get through this video, you'll see at the end that it leads to me overeating on Thanksgiving dinner, but it's not about that. It's about something else that I'm working through right now. As you know, I'm working on a lot. I mean, I guess I'm technically only working on one thing, which is writing this book, but the conversations and the stories that I'm putting in this book are my life, and they're so heavy, some of them. Every day when I get home from work and I pull out my laptop to work on this memoir, I'm basically just emotionally triggering myself like 7 days a week. I'm remembering really painful, challenging things, and it's hard really to just sit there and feel them all and to let them run through me. And there's just a lot of overwhelm that's kind of coming into my life because of that. And I recognize that that's a challenge that I'm choosing, and I want to choose it, but it doesn't make it any less difficult. Basically, every single day of my life right now is focused on emotional wounds and childhood trauma and really heavy, painful stuff. On average, my default state now is definitely a little bit more sensitive and a little bit more raw and a little bit more easily triggered than normal. I think that's an important preface. And I know that when I'm around my family, I struggle with this upregulation. I struggle with having a little bit more anxiety, and I don't do well when people are yelling in a room, even if they're not like yelling at anyone in particular in an aggressive way, just loud voices and people talking over each other. I just totally dissociate and I lose touch with myself, and I tend to overeat when that happens, or I'll try to numb myself. I'm really just trying to numb myself, and that's the way that I numb. That's the way that I'm trying to self-soothe. And I'm really, really, really trying so hard in this stage of life right now to work on that and to not use that as my default mechanism, because I recognize that it's not healthy and it never makes me feel good, and it doesn't really even satisfy me or make me feel soothed by the end of whatever I'm doing. I'm just trying to look for a pass-fail and looking for some plug that I can put in that system to stop a set of feelings that I don't want to feel. And so I'm really learning and utilizing this triggering work of the memoir to try to come up with better behavioral tactics and mechanisms. And when I feel myself getting stressed, for example, like I'm learning or recognizing that I need to pull myself out of a bad environment, and I need to lay down on a couch, and I need to breathe, or I need to just have a warm bowl of soup and not listen to YouTube videos while I'm making dinner, like just kind of being really mindful about the choices that I make. So I am working on it. And so part of my working on that was understanding I'm going to go to my parents' house for Thanksgiving, and I want to set myself up for success. And this is the hard part for me. And honestly, it shows that I've made quite a lot of improvement because I made a series of really good choices yesterday. Really good choices that were hard for me to make. So I'll tell you right from the beginning, I woke up and I went to the gym, and I told myself, just because it's Thanksgiving doesn't mean that you have to put in extra work in the gym today. And that could be really unhealthy, but it also could be healthy. And I did have what felt like a healthy urge to work out more yesterday, like I didn't have work. I could stay in the gym as long as I wanted. The gym really is therapy for me. I have friends there. I love being there. So I really wanted to do my deadlift session, which is what was programmed, and then go for a run on the treadmill, like a weighted run, and just be grateful for this body and this vessel and the strength that I have. But I told myself, don't go on the run. Just don't do the run, because I know that if I overtrain, if I do more than I normally do, then I'm going to feel more hungry, especially if I do cardio. It just happens for me. Like if I go for a run, I have a voracious appetite, and I know that that's something that I've struggled with in the past. So I said, don't do that. And that was a really good, strong win for me yesterday. Just showing up. I crushed my deadlifts. I hit a post-injury PR, and it was a great session, and I didn't do my run, and that probably I deserve to have a win for the day. This emotional regulation issue that I have with food doesn't necessarily need to be a negative emotion I'm experiencing. Like sometimes if I'm just really excited for a good thing, I just want to stuff my face. Like I get overwhelmed in a good way or a bad way. I get overexcited, something overstimulated, and I just want to eat. And so I was just feeling really amped and excited, which is a good thing, but still consciously chose to eat the same breakfast that I always do, instead of being like, oh, well, you're going to eat more later, so maybe we should have like a high protein smoothie, or just eat less for breakfast so that you can offset later. I was like, just be the person you always are. And that was my next win. So I have 2 wins, right? Great. 2 wins, check the box, we're doing good. Now, this is the real big win for me. The real big win, and this was hard, really hard for me to do yesterday, and I guess I'm still kind of working through the repercussions or ramifications of that now, but I chose not to write in my memoir yesterday. And I actually also chose not to write the day before that because I was feeling really emotionally overwhelmed, and I said, you just need to take an emotional rest day today. If you sit and write in this memoir, you're already not feeling good, and you're just going to trigger yourself, and you're not going to have a good time. And so I'm filming this on Friday. On Wednesday, I just went for like an hour and a half long, really slow mental health walk to calm myself down. I didn't write, and I was fine with that. And then I recognized I get in this cycle, right? Like I woke up on Thanksgiving Day, and I know that I'm probably going to be around my family and get stressed and overwhelmed, and it's not going to feel super good. So I try to win the day back when I know that something like that's going to happen. And the example of that would be, I'll wake up early, I'll crush the workout, I'll do everything perfect. I'll be perfect in every way that I can control. I will write in my memoir, I'll edit a video, I'll do whatever, I'll optimize my day to win it back, to steal it back, so that if bad things happen in the second half of the day or things that I don't love, I have my counterbalance to say, you know what, but that sucked, or I didn't really do the right thing there, but I still wrote in my memoir. But what happened yesterday was I recognized, again, I needed to just kind of dig my feet into the ground, slow myself down, and try to not get snagged, to get caught in this emotional wave that I know to expect for the holidays or just being around a lot of people. And I knew if I get home from the gym and I scramble to get showered and get ready and eat, and I need to write an hour in my memoir, then not only am I going to be emotionally triggered from the writing of that memoir and all of those emotional wounds that I'm bringing to now the surface of my consciousness, I'm scrambling because I don't really have that much time to get it done, and then I'm literally tripping through my day, and then I'm getting in the car anxious and racing home, and then I'm sitting down in a room full of people not calm. And so I made the executive decision to not write yesterday, and that was hard for me. Really, really hard. It's hard because this is the way that I have learned to control my life and my environment. When things feel out of control, I need to optimize everything that I feel like I can control. And yesterday was the first time in my life, I think, or at least one of the first times in my life, where I consciously chose the relationship I have with myself over the relationship that I have with outcomes and with products and with results. I knew it wasn't going to serve me, myself, my soul, my emotions, my balance, my calmness, if I wrote the memoir. And so I have this dichotomy, right? That I had to make a choice because they were kind of antithetical to one another in this particular instance. And I chose for the first time to try to do a set of behaviors that would preserve the relationship that I have with myself. And honestly, I should be really proud of that. I really should be, but because you know where this is going, it's kind of inevitable based on my tone and everything. I struggled anyway. it's hard for me to go back and be like proud of myself for the good choices that I made, because I just feel like I ended up at the same place, which hurts more actually because I don't have the results of the other things that I did to steal my day in this particular case. But I did get home calm. I smoked a cigar, which soothes me and kind of calms me, and I was to myself, and I was very relaxed. And when I felt myself get emotionally upregulated a little bit before we ate dinner, I did pull myself into my old bedroom, and I did self-soothe, and I did breathe, and that was good. And then I had a very normal-sized dinner, and that was good. But then my brother needed to leave with his girlfriend to go to his girlfriend's family, so we ended up eating dessert like basically right after we ate dinner, and that wasn't good because I ate dessert when I was already kind of full. But I didn't overeat dessert. That was a good win. Anyway, so now we're kind of getting into like, I'm full, I finished my dinner, I'm very consciously aware that I'm trying not to overeat, I'm satiated, I'm full, I'm trying to remind myself of that, and I did pretty well. I put a piece of gum in my mouth, I was pretty full, I probably overate a little bit, but nothing, like honestly, compared to anybody else for a Thanksgiving dinner, I probably did really well. And I just sat down on the couch and I put my hand on my belly and I just sat there and I breathed and I was like, we're good. And after about an hour or so, I started to digest and I started to feel all of the food move through me, and I realized, like, I got actually really excited. I was like, whoa, I'm good. I'm digesting. I didn't overeat. I feel fine. This is great. But then here's what happened. So the only detail that I'm not sharing in this story is I had thought that we didn't have concrete plans, but I thought that I was going to see somebody. I was going on a date. I thought maybe I was going to go on a date Saturday night. Well, cook for somebody. And we never really rescheduled to the Saturday, but I had planned to ask her, hey, do you think we could do Saturday? And so in my head, part of a big anchor, admittedly, for me not overeating was I don't want to overstuff myself today and then feel like garbage on Friday and then feel like, not myself on Saturday. So it was a really beneficial anchor. I don't know if it's a good thing that I ground myself in other people or not, but it works for me. It works until it doesn't. And she wasn't free Saturday, right? So we had no plans, but mentally I hooked onto this idea that I'm like, I don't need to overeat because something else is more important to you, and it is showing up and being a good version of yourself on Saturday. And then when she said that Saturday is probably not going to work, that's emotion, just the trigger went away, because I was like, well, that was what I was hooking into as my rationale to not overeat. And then the floodgates started to open because I felt like I put in a lot of energy and effort into being really mindful. And it's exhausting to be so mindful. It really is. Whether you do well or you don't, you end the day feeling exhausted. And I don't like to feel exhausted in this way. It's really hard to fight off emotional triggers when you're going in mayhem mode. And when she said that Saturday didn't work, I just gave up. And then I went in the kitchen, and it was just a series of events that I don't need to detail right now. It started super benign. I was just like, I'll have a little bit of extra turkey. And then I saw some sweet potatoes, and I was like, I'll have a little sweet potato. And then once I make the choice, this is also what I'm realizing with this food issue. Once I make the choice, everything that I do after it is actually kind of meaningless. You know what I mean? It's stacking, but it's the choice to engage that causes the problem. And then everything that follows that choice is just an amplification or a multiplication of something that I chose that was not conscionable. So, I could sit here and tell you that I had more pie and I had more ice cream and I found another dessert and I had some of that, and then I came home and then I had some more turkey. I can tell you everything that I ate, but I'm mindful of this as it goes through. It's not like I'm searching for... It's not like I'm going to find what I'm looking for in food. And I know that. but it's the choice to do the thing that I know is not right. That's the problem to me. I just got to the end of the day and I felt pretty defeated. I felt like I failed. I woke up this morning with not a sense of shame, but really like embarrassment and just really not being proud of myself, which that's kind of a win, actually, because usually when I feel like I've failed, I just get very focused on the food. And I'm like, why did you eat that? Why did you do that? You shouldn't have eaten that. You didn't need that, like that almond butter. And I get focused on the food. And when you focus on the food, it's insidious and it's sneaky, because when you focus on the food, or when I focus on the food, what I'm really doing is I'm emotionally circumventing the root behind my search for the food, which is the fact that I'm looking for something and I'm treating myself in a way that's not healthy and not right. And I don't do that on purpose. It's not like I feel these emotions consciously and then I choose to focus on the food. But again, the next day, all that I can control is the food. And so then I'm triggered because I'm bloated and I don't feel good. And that reminds me of all of my stomach trauma when I was a kid. And then I go to the gym not to work off the calories anymore. That, thankfully, I'm really through that. I've learned to nurture myself enough now, because I've gone through this cycle enough now where that's not really how it feels when I go to the gym. I'm not angry at my body anymore for being bloated. I recognize it's just bloated because I ate a lot. And I'm not trying to work off the calories by punishing myself. It feels good to move my body and to digest and feel fit and strong and capable and look at a version of myself that I do admire and do look up to. But it is still very food and body image and performance focused, not emotional root focused. But this morning it was, and that was actually a great win for me, because I woke up and instead of focusing on everything that I just detailed that I normally do, I focused on my emotional wounds, and I felt embarrassed and like just down and like not proud of myself and like, really, Ari? Like what's going on here? Why'd you do that? And yeah, I think also what makes that hard for me, or what makes yesterday extra hard, was that, waking up this morning, like I didn't have my counterbalance, you know what I mean? I wasn't able to be like, well, I got stressed, but I still wrote my memoir and I'm still crushing it because I was so results oriented. Like, I chose not to do the extra work to try to show up for myself and to focus on the relationship that I have with myself instead of the results of my work product and all those other things that I tend to just default to for a sense of control. But I didn't have them because I didn't do them yesterday. And so it felt extra shitty to wake up this morning and be like, wow, you still messed up and you didn't do anything yesterday. Like, really? That's good job. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just struggling, I guess, today. And that video's not ending in a way that I'm like, here's the lesson. I think what I really need to start doing when these things happen is have a more conscious debrief with myself, because, sitting here actually was pretty therapeutic. This is literally like a confessional video, but it did force me to realize, like, I did have a ton of wins yesterday. I ended up in a similar space, but I did a lot of really good things for myself yesterday. And I think those are things that I should try to emulate in the future, whether or not I struggle with food again and I'm emotionally regulating myself again. I should still, when I know that I have these kinds of things going on, wake up and do my normal lift and eat my normal breakfast. And if I feel myself getting emotionally overwhelmed, or I know that it's going to be taxing on myself, to focus on the relationship that I have with myself over the relationship that I have with my results and my goals, which I tend to prioritize. And to say, look, today's best is going to be very different because it has to be. On those days, you really do need to literally just lay down and watch TV and hold yourself, because that takes a lot of energy. And if you're going to put all the energy into writing your memoir and to doing all this other stuff and to running around and scrambling, you're not going to have the resources to devote to doing the hard thing. So yeah, maybe this wasn't actually that bad. But I definitely struggle with that. And I really want to get to a place where one day I don't struggle with this so much. But been definitely a journey. And that's the only other thing that I'm realizing that's like really awesome is it's so circular, you know what I mean? Like there's no one, like if I win one day and I do it all right and I feel emotionally overwhelmed and I don't get triggered or I don't lean into my triggers and I don't overeat and I just end my day having processed hard emotions and I wake up the next day feeling so great and so proud of myself, like that's still one day. You know what I mean? Like I have a lifetime of needing to work through this. So the only really positive thing, or I guess a really cool thing, is that so much of healing is it's so circular and it's so nonlinear. Like these issues and obstacles are going to come up all the time. So even if you have a track record, you know what I mean? Like, 10 wins in a row, 11 wins in a row. It doesn't really matter because you can break at the 12th. And then if you're focused on that, you're like, I broke, I failed. You know, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life. So those kinds of things help me. I'm just like, got to pick myself off the floor, feel a little not proud, feel a little not good, and realize that all I can do is try again and to take the data that I have from this and the good things that I did this time that I've never done before and apply them again and apply them again and apply them again. I've been thinking for a few months loosely. I've been really wanting another tattoo and I couldn't really figure out what I wanted. And actually back in when was this? Back in March, before I got my inner child tattoo, I came across a symbol, the Ouroboros, and I was like, that's cool. I really want that. It represents, it's a snake eating its own tail, and it represents the cyclicality of life, and the way that we go over and over and over again, and this just constant cycle of life, death, and rebirth. And after yesterday, I really did feel super committed to getting that tattoo, and I feel like I really want to put it like right on my ribs here, because it's kind of close enough to my tummy that it will remind me of that, but it's not like right there. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for listening to me and holding space for me. I love you a lot, and I don't know. I'll see you next week. You don't really have a good ending to this video today, but yeah, that's just life, you know what I mean? Sometimes we don't have the endings. We just pick ourselves up and focus on the next beginning. That was really cliche, really corny. Anyway, I love you, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.